Hi Aaron, Jordan here. Let's take a look at these two questions you asked me. Now, just for your own information in the future, when you're working on questions like these, you can select the Ask My Instructor button. Might save you a little bit of time. Instead of kind of printing them or scanning them or making PDFs or whatever, it'll just shoot me an email and it's a little bit easier for you. What we're going to look at here, we have 1 over 6 plus 4 over 7. Now the issue here, when we add or subtract fractions, we have to have the same denominators, which we don't have here. We have a 6 and a 7. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make fractions that have the same denominator. So generally what we like to do is we like to find what's called the LCD here, the least common denominator. What's the lowest common number between 6 and 7? Now how we would find that really is we would say, well, let's find multiples of 6 and 7. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 24, 30, 36, and so on. And then we do the same with 7. 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 3 is 21, 28, 35, and then 42. And actually our next one over here would be 42 as well. I didn't go far enough. So this is technically what we would do. We'd find the lowest common denominator. Right, so 42, we're going to make each of those our common denominators. I'm just going to write those in. And then I ask myself, let me erase some of this stuff here. Let's clean this up a little bit. So I ask myself, I say, okay, 6 times what number is 42? And the answer, well, 6 times 7 gives me 42. Right? So because I multiplied 6 by 7 to get 42, I'm going to do the same with the numerator. I'm going to multiply it by 7. So 1 times 7 gives me 7. We're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to do it with the other fraction now. Okay, so 7, I multiplied 7 by 6 to get 42. So I'll do the same with the numerator, with the top number. 4 times 6 is 24. So what we've done, and you might kind of come across this in math textbooks or the internet or whatever, what we've done here is we've made equivalent fractions. So 7 over 42 is equivalent to 1 over 6. And 4 over 7 is equivalent to 24 over 42. The issue is that these two guys are not reduced, but that's okay. They have the same denominator, so now we can add or subtract them. All right, so let's do that now. Change my color up here. So we're going to add 7 over 42 plus 24 over 42. Whenever we're adding or subtracting fractions, we don't add or subtract the denominator. So the denominator, the bottom number, is going to stay 42. And we're just going to add or subtract the numerators depending on the operation here. So 7 plus 24, that's going to come out to be 31 over 42. And that's our answer. You could reduce this, of course. It's a great way. Sorry, my math lab will actually want you to reduce this, but in this case, we're good. There's no other number that I could divide both the top and bottom by. 31 and 42, that appears to be it. So that's going to be the answer there. Let's take a look now at the second question. We have -6 plus -1/2. Now, whenever I see this, we're using brackets here. I'm going to rewrite this in a simpler way. Instead of saying -6 plus -1/2, I'm just going to say we have -6 minus 1/2. It means the same thing. So don't let the notation kind of mess with you. -6 isn't a fraction, but we could write it with a fraction with a denominator over 1. Now the same play, I want to find the LCD between 1 and 2. What's the lowest number that 1 and 2 will go into? And in fact, the answer here is 2. Okay? And if I did multiples, 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 2 times 1, there's our lowest right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this have 2 equivalent fractions with denominators of 2. And this guy already has 2, so I'm just going to rewrite him anyway. -1/2 minus 1/2. Same play now. 6 times 2 gave me 2. So -6 times 2 is going to give me -12. Okay, again, I've made my equivalent fractions. Change my color up a bit. And now we're going to add or subtract. In this case, we're subtracting. So I have negative 12 minus 1. That's going to be negative 13. And again, our denominator stays the same. And this is in lowest form already. There's no number. I couldn't divide both of this by 2 or anything like that to reduce it. Okay, so I hope that was useful. Basically, what you need to do is use multiplication to make equivalent fractions, add or subtract the numerators as appropriate, and then reduce only if you have to. Okay, so I hope that helps, Aaron. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to give me a shout or an email. Thanks.